let me just give you a bit of a background about us. So in 2013, we started, Sikh UK was started. A few people got together. There was a forum, and a lot went on. Slowly, while we were doing these forums and classes weekly, we noticed we needed a support system for some of the people out there, because they were coming to us with issues, predominantly issues such as sexual abuse and grooming, and alcohol and drugs. Alongside those support systems we try to implement, we also show support to prisoner welfare, to Sikhs inside in jail. We do annual events. We work on massive Sikh human rights campaigns as well. One of the most recent one is the Free Juggy Now, as you all know. And any sort of miscarriages of justice, we sort of stand up for and try and do what we can as a org, along with mobilizing other Sikh activists across the UK. What I'm going to say today, I will say, I've said on national TV, I've said on all major media stations, wherever we've had a, we do. I'm going to show you today some of the realities of how the Sikh community are targeted by sexual perpetrators. Now, this is a really serious issue while you're at university, because people tend to put their foot off the pedal as they get to uni. You know, you become more relaxed. You don't think parents are overlooking you. And this is very important, that you understand that not everyone is going to be like your parents. Not everyone is going to be like your loved ones around you. So you're entering a different zone, which is maybe uncomfortable for some. It might be a change. Some of you might be used to it. At the end of the day, it's a different sort of environment that you're entering. So you need to be prepared for what the dangers are out there. And this isn't to scaremonger anyone or, you know, any of the freshers who have joined. This is more to make sure you're aware and vigilant of what kind of perpetrators are out there and what kind of issues as a Sikh you may face. So I'm going to talk about grooming. So as we all know, there's three common types of grooming, I'd say. And before we start, let me say that grooming happens everywhere in every community, okay? So the common types is an adult perpetrator and a child victim. Then sometimes there's a child perpetrator and a child victim that go on to have relationships or, you know, take advantage and exploit the situation. And sometimes there's the third one I want to talk about is coercive relationships. Now that's when there's an adult perpetrator and an adult victim as well. What I want to talk about is a religiously aggravated side as well today, because this is a lot that gets missed. And this is some of the cases that we get, majority of the cases we get, there is a heavy chance that most of the perpetrators will use cultural sensitivities to target Sikhs. So when you look at religiously aggravated, does it just like, let's go back to the Rochdale case. There was a judge called Judge Gerald Clifton. Now, he stated clearly when young, vulnerable white girls were targeted in Manchester and in the Rochdale area, he clearly stated in court that the perpetrators targeted the young white girls because of they weren't part of their religion or their ethnicity or their culture. So this is like, as the legislation is on the screen, you can see this is law. And the law regarding the religiously aggravated is if the offender demonstrates hostility towards the victim based on his or her membership of a racial or religious group, or if the offence is racially or religiously motivated. I'm showing you one example quickly. Now, this was a case in Slough, West London, where the perpetrator was exploiting a young girl. And obviously you can see I blurred out the image, but there's an indecent video going on there. And within that video, the perpetrator takes it up to Sri Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj's photo while he's committing the indecent act, and then comes back with his video camcorder to the indecent act. Then what he did was put it on an indecent website. So massive, millions of viewers to see. And as you can see, some of the comments on there, they're being racial or they're targeting our faith as Sikhs, calling our Sikh gurus slags. They're saying you've wiped out Sikhi. So many comments. I've only showed you a few. I'm going to quickly run through the historical side of this. So this, do you think, like obviously the last slide I just showed you, it shows of something that's happened in the last certain amount of years while there's mobile phones and camcorders available. Now, if you look at historical evidence of Sikhs being targeted, we can go back to the 60s. Now, our team have done a report on this, and which I'll talk about a bit later, but there's a history behind this, and it goes back to the 60s. As you can see, one of the articles I've put in front of you is there was a right of a Sikh girl in Bradford, and a lot of guys were arrested for obviously prostituting a Sikh girl and putting her in red light district. Now, this is how serious some of these cases get, where the girls were exploited and they're put and trafficked. 70s in Slough. So I've showed you Bradford in the 60s, 70s in the Slough. 4 guys. Now, this young girl was targeted when she's 16, and you can see the perpetrators were charged. This is in 1971, so she was 16 then. She would be probably your grandparents, maybe your great-grandparents' ages now. Now, you know, this young girl, you can see she was from Kenya. So she's a Sikh family, come from Kenya. You know, when the migrants came over from Punjab, migrants came over from Kenya as well at the same time to the UK, Sikhs I'm on about. So Sikh migrants were targeted from day one. Obviously, as you can see, she was 16, she was very young when she was targeted. This is in the 70s. 80s is where Sikhs started to get active and sort of more aware of this. There was common cases now. This is turning into like an epidemic in the 80s. And families started to be getting criminalized at the same time. Families were being criminalized by the police. The police weren't understanding what our issues were. So then there became tensions, and Sikhs ended up losing twice as a community. Not only did we lose our sisters and daughters and mothers to perpetrators, then our families, our brothers and fathers were criminalized, and then they ended up sometimes taking the law into their own hands, or they were criminalized and then they end up in at that time. In the 90s, so I've covered Sydney. In the 90s, you can see 10 perpetrators traveled all the way from Birmingham to Coventry, specifically to target Sikh women at college. So this is at places of education were targeted, and they still are targeted. Sometimes it's not in person. A lot now is online, which I'll be talking about in a little while. In the early 2000s, for this, and we took it to Lloyd's house, and this is although we started discussing this issue. This is early 2000s, so you know, a lot long before the Rochdale cases, the Lancashire cases, long time before that, the Sikhs took it to the streets and were fed up of this. So obviously, as you can see, this has been going on for a long time. 2013 now. In 2013, there was a high-profile case in Leicester, and we lost. There was 6 perpetrators who were convicted for targeting a young Sikh female. This is probably one of the high-profile cases that's happened in the UK. There's a lot of media coverage about this. The perpetrators got convicted in the end, but it also took for 13 Sikhs to end up going to prison because of a reaction of this. So again, we lost twice as a community at this. These were young Sikh men with impeccable records. Some of them were at university. They had careers ahead of them. And because of the failures within the system, we're not blaming no one specifically. There were certain failures in the system which people didn't understand when a young Sikh girl was targeted. And this is what we want to discuss today. So I've given you a little bit of a background. And let's get to the current day. Look, last year, does it just happen at schools, colleges? People come to this in Coventry. So it's not too far from Nottingham. It's nearer East Midlands. It's about 25 minutes from Nottingham. Some of you might go to this Gurdwara. Perpetrators targeted, they landed at the Gurdwara. They're harassing Sikh females in the Gurdwara car park. They were both intoxicated, and obviously, as you can see, people are confronting them in the car park. So that's a gist of the history behind it. Now, I'm going to show you some of the tactics that were used, go through them, what tactics were used and may still be used, and then I'm going to go through some of the ones that are used in current day. So in the past, cheap chicken shops would be used, fast food takeaways a lot of the time. Also, as you can see in the second image, there's perpetrators would be parked outside schools, colleges, universities, targeting young girls. Alcohol and drugs was always used to take advantage of vulnerable situations. Bhangra daytimers were heavily targeted as well. Grooming, they were literally called grooming grounds. Now, a lot of people, I'm not sure about nowadays if they still have them, but in the 80s and 90s, these daytimers used to go along. People used to go along to these daytimers, sneak out of college, sneak out of uni, sneak out of school, end up at these parties, and people knew people wouldn't go there without telling their parents. So the perpetrators knew they could take advantage of that situation. So they were, Bhangra daytimers were grooming grounds, literally. Obviously, you can see there's an image of Sahar Road there. Typical Punjabi Sikh areas are always targeted. Taxi drivers were heavily involved. A lot of convictions on taxi drivers. Let's come to the current present day. Now, social media is massive in this day and age, and people are targeted online. Like, you don't have to be parked outside somebody's school, college, or university targeting them. Now, they could be added in certain Zoom, like this is an open Zoom. Perpetrators could be in here watching what's going on at the same time. You could have perpetrators targeting victims from another side of the country, and other side from different countries and other side of the world. And we've had that. We've had cases from young students who are targeted when they're 16 at college, targeted by people from like Algeria and stuff. So, you know, there's a lot that goes on online. Before we get to the lockdown, what I want to mention is social media has had a massive impact during lockdown. And as students, you'll understand that you're spending a lot of time online. And this is where there's been a lot of dangers. Second image, as you can see, like I said, people who are students, sometimes they're not parked outside the classroom, they're sitting next to you in the classrooms. They could be family members, friends, anything like that. Phone shops are heavily used. Now, people would think you go and hand your phone over in a normal shop just to get it repaired. Sometimes these pop-up shops are so dangerous that you're handing over your phone, which has got your personal images, videos, personal details on there.
Badu, can't hear you, sorry.
You've said you've turned us off.
Oh no, I just turned your video off because the Wi-Fi was slow. But can you?
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
So audio's still on though, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So mobile phone. Sorry about that, guys. Apologies if anyone is offended or can't see anything. But yeah, we'll get back to the phone shops. So pop-up phone shops, so important that you are vigilant. Whoever you're handing your phone over, if you're going to hand your phone over to a phone shop, you need to know who it is. I would suggest you go to your actual major brands like Apple or Samsung, because when you've gone up to any of these pop-up shops, you're handing your phone over, they've got access to your family's images, family's videos, details, your personal passwords, or whatever you've got on your phone, they've got full access to that. So that's very important that you are vigilant at those places. Do not hand over willy-nilly to anyone. Late night alcohol delivery services, people have been using that as a tool to get access to students and then take advantage. The last two on this slide I want to discuss is the dessert parlors, late night dessert parlors and shisha bars. They're open late. Now, remember on the last slide of the grooming past, I showed you cheap chicken shops that used to be open late and whatnot. Now, these are the cover-up venues where people are being exploited. Dessert bars and shisha bars, definitely shisha bars. There's a few grooming, there's a few shisha bars here for a few articles where people have been targeted, as you can see, and they're getting shut down left, right, and center. Even during lockdown, some of them have been targeted. There's been people being exploited, using young people to sell drugs in there and target and exploit and traffic young females as well. Online, now, sending indecent pictures. Now, obviously, these are, sometimes it's common sense not to do that because it could come back and haunt you. But we are seeing a rise in this, especially during lockdown. Now, don't hand over or pass over any sorts of images. If you know, even if you think you're in love in your relationships or whatever is going on in your mind at that moment, do not do anything. It could come back. Like we've seen people blackmailed later in life because of a stupid mistake they made at uni. Even in this day and age, people are photoshopping and taking advantage. Just really be careful who and what kind of people are following you online, who sort of your friend circle is online, and who have got access to your social medias. Lockdown issues. House party is one of the typical social media pages that we've had a lot of complaints about during lockdown. We've put some images out there. If you want to go on our social media, you can go on our Instagram. There's a lot of online social media messages that we've put out there to warnings. So you can go on. It's not just house party. There's Instagram, there's Snapchat, there's Facebook. There's so many that people are using. So during lockdown, these issues online, people have been targeted massively. As you can see, over the last 8-9 months since lockdown, a lot of people have been going missing. These are due to breakdown in relationships at home, hiding something. Also, during lockdown, spending so much time online that people are coaching, perpetrators. They're coaching the people, the victims that that are falling prey to them, and coaching them to leave homes, coaching them to turn on their families, make false allegations against their families, break homes. So much going on while this is going on. And we need to be really aware of some of these scenarios. So it's great. We put a little video out yesterday. You're more than welcome to have a look at it. We could share it with the Sikh UK later. But yeah, there's so much that goes on. Relationships at home, people exploiting them, cultural. While the lockdown issues were going on, people, perpetrators were exploiting because of cultural sensitivities as well, and coaching the victims. What have we done regarding these issues in lockdown? Like, our team have been on the ground massively. Like, there's a lot of people who've been talking about, we want to do this and want to do that. On the ground, like, without a doubt, our team has been like a massive shout out to all our Sevadars, because they've been on the ground during this pandemic, supporting families, listening to, fathers in vulnerable situations, mothers in vulnerable situations. And it's not easy to hear that at the same time, but it's great because we've got a great support base. And what we need to do is make sure all families are aware. So it's fantastic that universities like UON and Notts Trent today have collabed to get this message out there, because it's a massive pandemic that the UK got, and they are making, because of these lockdown scenarios, they're putting people in more of a vulnerable situation. There are people don't know how to handle this situation when there's a bit of a change and whatnot. So it's great that you guys are trying to make a difference as well. And I'm sure that the universities that you're at are going to support you as well. They usually have welfare teams on campus, which is great that they're supporting you at the same time. So make sure that you link in with them. And if there's any issues that you need support in, they will fully support. If they can't, we're there to assist at the same time. We can speak to them. It's great that you're networking like that. And that's what you need to look at, where the support base is. So how serious are these issues? There's a lot of, like I was discussing online, a lot of people talk about this. Let me explain and give you a few situations that we've done while this pandemic's on. We've had our conversation of grooming and the targeting the Sikh female, taken to the UN. We've had this conversation put there. We worked with other Sikh human rights organizations, and we've made sure this conversation has hit the UN. Now, that's a massive achievement during this pandemic to get that out there, so the world knows what issues the Sikhs are facing. So, this is some of the work that goes on behind the scenes that you wouldn't see what we do. You see a lot of the work that we do on the ground, but behind the scenes, we're trying to hit this message at the highest level possible. So yeah, we want to thank everyone who supported on that side as well. And guys, as you're at uni, if you want to get involved in Seva like this behind the scenes, if you think you can deliver workshop, if you want to go and talk on behalf of these issues at the UN, we can push you in the right direction. And this is what we're there for, to empower the youth. It's not about talking about all the negativity. It's about empowering you to do more positive work. I'll fly through some of the cases. Now, this is one serious case, and this is an example of a 14-year-old girl who was targeted. And, some of I was telling you about cultural sensitivities. What I mean by that is, within the system that we live in, some people, the perpetrators are manipulating this. And what they're doing is using the system to work against us and use it for their benefit. So two specific tactics that are used to target Sikh girls specifically. And a lot of other people from different backgrounds won't get this, but Sikhs get this a lot, Sikh females especially. to put an allegation of assault of some kind on your family. They're coerced into doing that. And once they do that, the authorities come in heavy-handed and charge family members or isolate the victim into care. That way, the perpetrators have full access and the family have no access. Again, with the second tactic that's used, forced marriages, to put an allegation on your family to say they're forcing you to get married. That way, the law and the authorities come in heavy-handed. They isolate you from your families. That way, you're isolated. Perpetrators have full access and take full advantage at this time, while the victims are vulnerable and the family have no access. And then we have to support the families who also become secondary victims here. So looking at it at a different perspective, don't just look at it from a victim's perspective, there's secondary victims involved at the same time. And this is what happened to this family. 8 family members were arrested because of the perpetrator coerced and coached the girl to make false allegations against her family. And this was in Cardiff, as you can see. So like I said, this isn't in one place, it's across the UK. We talk about European migrants coming here recently from Italy, Spain, Portugal. Now, family from were targeting Smethwick, and their young girl ended up taking Class A drugs and prostituted on the streets of Smethwick. You know, they came here to make a better life, and instead, what happens is their worst nightmare. They give up everything to come here. They sell their land and all sorts just to come here. I'll talk about another case here in Southall. Now, this is early this year, a young girl targeted, abused. She was locked in this hotel for a few days. Even the manager of the hotel was part of the ring who took advantage. And this is a hotel in the middle of Broadway. Again, another typical Punjabi Sikh area.
फिर बीबी दी look after ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ बीबी ਡੈਪੇ ਸੀ
I think everyone's unmuted. How to safeguard yourself. Now be vigilant and be alert. Stay safe online. 1 second, I believe somebody's interfering or talking.
Why do you need to meet her, Dad? Just call her and scold her.
Hello, can you hear me now? Yeah, how to safeguard yourself while you're online. Now be vigilant and alert, always very important. Staying safe online. Now, when I'm saying being vigilant and alert, look, if you're going out, I know I can't condone this as a good Sikh, but obviously you're at uni, you will go out, you're gonna go out with your friends into places which aren't part of Sikhi. If you do end up at those places, make sure you've got your battery fully charged. Very important. Who you're going with, make sure they're loyal, close, you know, that they are trustworthy, that they won't take advantage of you. Third, make sure a family member knows where you are at all times. If you're going to use taxis or minicab services, make sure you know who's taking you, what the cab driver's registration plate is. Make sure your phone battery is on. Let someone know you're getting in that taxi at what time and how long it will take you to get back to your place. You might laugh and think these are things that, how are they going to keep me vigilant and alert? These are the simple things that could safeguard you. And when we've got them secured, we can make sure we can progress on to other things. But those are just little things that you need to be really, really alert of. While you're out, don't accept drinks of anyone that you don't know, any strangers. Make sure that you don't leave your drinks or food unattended so people could take advantage and maybe spike them. We see that a lot. People date rape, drugs and whatnot that goes on. So make sure you're really vigilant at all times. Be careful with the people that you associate yourself with. Sangat is massively important in your jivans, in your lives. And, you know, including, like, for me, my background, what I came from to where I am now, Sangat is the most important thing. Positive people around you is so important. So while you're at uni, you've got that opportunity to network with positive people, network with active people. Very important. Go on, let's look up about cleaning up your social media. Look what sort of images you're putting out there. Look what you're portraying. Look what your friends are around there putting. Keep that all tidy. Clean up your social medias. Make sure you know everyone who's following you. Things like that, so nobody can take advantage of any sort of personal images you put out. Because like I said, a lot of people do Photoshop. There's a lot of fake accounts out there. They'll target you. They'll specifically target Sikhs. They like to do this. So you need to be really vigilant and alert about these things. keeping positive Sangat I've spoke about. And again, I'm going to reiterate, it's about the simple things. Make sure we've got these all on point. Some of the current work we're doing now, we've done documentaries where we've openly caught red-handed perpetrators targeting specifically Sikh girls. And they've come to Sikh schools, they've come to Sikh areas specifically to target. Both of these guys that are on your screen are married men with 3 children, yet they were targeting an underage Sikh girl. You can see these videos on our YouTube channel. Please make sure you have a look. Watch how the effort that our team put in to finding and catching these perpetrators. These are just 2 we've put out there. There's hundreds of perpetrators that we catch all the time. There's so many videos out there that you can see, but these are the ones we put out there. There's so much work that goes on behind the scenes, you know, and we don't encourage you guys to do this while you're at uni. You know, like, you need to focus on the positive work and leave this to sort of experts that know what they're doing and handling this situation. And this is what we did. And, you know, obviously with these cases, we give them to the authorities. We try and make sure that the police are doing what their job is, the social services are doing what their jobs is. And if they're not, we can hold them accountable and pull them up on where they are going wrong when it comes down to our community, because there's a massive lack of understanding on what goes on within our community. That's why we had to compile a report, which was called the Race Report. We worked alongside MPs like Sarah Champion, and she's campaigned on behalf of young white girls who were raped and exploited in Rotherham. And she's also asked for called out for an independent investigation to the similar abuse of British Sikh girls. So it's fantastic that we've worked alongside MPs like Sarah. You know, doing that report, as you can see, you know, all these years, you've always heard of Rochdale, Rotherham, but, you know, our cases never hit the media. Well, thanks to the report that our team did, we finally got that message out there, and it hit all national media, international media, that Sikh girls have been abused and groomed as well. So, you know, it's great to see that we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes in a positive and constructive way. There's us handing in the race report to the Home Office at the same time as well. Community engagement is really important, working with the authorities, social services. Look on the pictures on your left, that's Telford. Telford was branded capital for Europe for exploitation. We went there when we heard this, where young victims were targeted, and we spoke to the locals there. Also, you can see here that the community back us, a lot of support from the community. Every time we do our events, there's a lot of community engagement backing us. We've done films on this. We've highlighted this in many different ways: music, films, documentaries, regular shows on the Sikh media stations, and obviously like workshops like this at universities. Usually we do this talk in person, but obviously because of the lockdown and the pandemic, the university have let us do it on Zoom. And it's great that the university are working with us on these issues. There you go, Sarah Champion working with our team and some of the Sevadars in the community. Here's a lady called Sammy Woodhouse. Now, she is a survivor from the Rotherham scandal. She's one of the whistleblowers. She exposed it. She's doing big things. I would advise, if you're interested in this topic, I would advise you follow her on Twitter. She's doing massive things, helping change, changing, you know, laws and policies at a government level, getting people to understand what the survivor is going through. She works with us. She's also assisted and sent cases our way where we've assisted her as well at the same time. She supports us as well, which is fantastic. Some of the work that we've done and how we've raised awareness, so through films and music. You've heard what we've said today. Take on board, here's some of the books that are out there and hear it from the girls themselves. See how they're speaking about it and what they'll say, and they're going to say it 100 times worse than what I've said it today. What can you do to help? Be there for people. Be supportive. Don't just say it. Actually be there. Be peer support. Show people positive. This is part of Sikhi, showing compassion, showing that they are, no matter what the situation is, being there and supportive towards these people. As Sikh Socks, today you've had a Jummavari and you've took it upon yourselves to be that peer support for the fellow student. So a massive shout out again to the UON, Sikh UK and the NTU who collab, because you put that peer support out there, which is fantastic. You've given them that platform and awareness to help them. So they can't say that when they were going out, this happened, that, you know, obviously you'll always be there for them, but you've given them an initial insight into what happens. Create awareness videos. Really important. As a collective, you guys can do a lot more. Like this morning on our Instagram, we put a few local slides up, how Instagram is massively targeted in Nottingham, how there's hundreds grooming cases in there, how perpetrators have been charged and sentenced in Nottingham, from Nottingham, there, from your local area there. So you have to be really vigilant. So you have a duty of care as a Sikh as well to help others. So put more awareness out there as students. Maybe you can do more forums. If you want our assistance in any way, we would love to help as well to that. It'd be great to get your Sikh socks on the table doing work. At the moment, we're doing an art exhibition. So if you've got any artistic people or anyone who wants to perform art, but is part of performing arts, as you can see, we've made films, music, anything that you want to support us with, you're more than welcome to. And obviously, you're all got a brain there and you can help support each other. You can raise awareness, create leaflets, literature, magazines. You can be part of so much as students and do a lot more. So I hope that was a good enough insight into today. If there's any questions, please put them in there. I think if the president want to come back, if the president wants to come back, the presidents want to come back on and speak, let me know. But if there's any questions, let us know, guys, and I'm more than happy to answer them. Which one's just on? Okay, I've got a few here. Do you do any of these talks for secondary students? Yeah, of course we do. So we do these talks in Gurdwara Sikhi camps. We've got access to them. We speak to students, young students there, in schools, in colleges and uni. Don't think perpetrators just target young school kids who are at school. They target people who are at university. They target people even at the workplace, even in employment. So it's important. But yes, yeah, we do these workshops at schools and at young Gurmat camps as well. Do we see cases of youngsters from other backgrounds? Yes, we've helped Muslim girls, we've helped Christian girls, we've helped people who are atheists, we've helped anyone. We don't judge the situation, we support the situation. So, you know, there's so much that we do like that, and there's cases, you can see some of our YouTube videos. Like I said, go on our YouTube channel, Sikh UK, you can see some of the work that we do behind the scenes. Would you say that people getting targeted is easy in lockdown? A lot more. I'm sure I've covered that, but I'll reiterate it. A lot more cases we've had in lockdown. People have been targeted from other countries. 13-year-old Sikh girls sending videos, doing live indecent videos to people in a different country. You know, there's been some horrific cases during lockdown. Honestly, like some of the volunteers, if you guys could ever sit with them, they can tell you, they wouldn't go into personal details, but they can give you some of these harrowing stories, honestly. What specifically do you think freshers can do this year as they are all locked down to not fall victim to this? Right, more awareness like this, maybe making videos, short snappy videos, raising awareness. Really important. Reach your Sikh socks, make sure they go into your WhatsApp groups and online on your thingies. Get your university welfare teams to help support you do this. Make a video so it's under the COVID laws and whatever, however the university are happy, and get some awareness out there. Do some interactive videos, definitely. If someone is worried about one of their friends, what's the best course of action? Obviously, I would say ring one of our volunteers. We could put a female or male there, professionals, people who are from a professional background, people who are active and experts. Honestly, guys, we are the experts at what goes on in the Sikh community with Sikh issues. Nobody can tell Sikhs about Sikh issues. Only we can talk about our issues. People can understand vaguely from a different lens and a different perspective, but our issues are solely focused from a Sikh perspective. And it's really important that we understand it because we know why we're targeted. We know how our religion's targeted. I'll give you just a couple of short examples. Racist words that are used towards Sikhs, dirty Sikhani, you saw that's used heavily a lot, raghead, Ragged's daughter, things like that are used while in abuse. And we've seen these comments online where people have targeted our religion using these sort of racial languages. And when we use these, when they use these racial slurs, if the authorities don't understand it, then they can't record it. So it's a duty from us to explain to the authorities how to record these and what our issues are. So while they're looking at a case from an exploitation perspective, they would be also looking at it from a race hate crime at the same time, because then that makes it religiously motivated, and that would put an extra 6 to 8 years on someone's charges because it's a hate crime. What do you think that these cases still occur after? Why do you think that these cases still occur after all these years? It's only going to get worse because of the internet, because of media, social media. It's not going to get any better. It's down to us to raise more awareness and put more support out there. There needs to be more active people like our team, and not just us. There needs to be more people learning from the expertise that we've got on our team to take down to Sikh societies, take down to other societies, university, and you guys to spread that message within your families and friend circles as well. How do you help these girls after they have been through these ordeals? Some girls don't want help. Some do. Those who do, those families who do, will fully support the best we can within our capability, within our resources. Whatever we can do, we will go that extra mile to try and help and support. We always do. There's positive people out there. There's positive things that go on. Let me, like, obviously, we're Sikh UK. There's other orgs out there that would do that next stage. You've got people where, when you can bring someone, it's exactly like bringing someone into positive Sangat. You take them into, direct them into Prachar groups like Seek to Inspire, Basics and Sikhi. You can learn a lot from them. You can locally, like there's a female group set up in Coventry called Chada Cup. They do fantastic work. They've been supporting females within the Coventry area. So we support them, they support us. Like, it's working with the right teams who understand what the issue is and working hand in hand to get the better message out there. Like I said, we're doing an exhibition, we make films, there's so much that goes on, documentaries. So helping is by raising awareness, and supporting is by putting and implementing the right people around. Not just anyone can be a peer supporter. Not everyone understands this. So today you've got a little glimpse at what goes on. But there's just some of the questions that was asked. If there's anything else, please let us know. And I'll pass it back to the presidents. One of our volunteers is online. Her name's Mandeep Kaur. She really wants to speak. So if somebody could let her speak, that would be great.
Am I okay to speak now?
Yeah, go ahead, that's fine.
Yeah, so my name is Mandeep Kaur. I went to Nottingham Trent University 2 years ago. I graduated. So I just thought I'd give you guys a bit of an insight of when I was there and how it was. So a lot of you guys might be freshers right now, and it's really exciting to go to university. The first university that I went to was Kent. I had absolutely no Sangat. I was around Gorde most of the time. And to get to my closest Gurdwara was like 1.5 hours away. So you guys are really, really lucky here in Nottingham, because you have, I think, about 4 Gurdwara there around. And even though it's COVID restrictions, everything right now, I just want to say, like, make sure that you keep close to your Guru, because their Sangat is so important. And when I came to Nottingham, so that was in 2018, I finished in 2017, 2018. So when I was there, my brother was there a few years before me. What used to happen back in those days at Nottingham was there was a massive rivalry between... Okay, you want me to start my video? There was a massive rivalry between the Musliman and the Sikhs, basically, and to a really, really horrible extent, where they would capture the boys. So at that time, it was mainly like a rivalry between them. They would capture the boys at that time, put them in a van, and then beat them up, and then deliver them back to the Sikh society. And that would go on for like weeks. Since I was there, that kind of thing stopped, because obviously the police locked down on it more. However, when I was there, I was really, really lucky. And I was really lucky to meet the Sikh society there. And even though a lot of the people that I made friends with in the Sikh society, they had cut hair, they drank, they went, we actually, so I wasn't a Gursikh then, I'm still trying now. But at that time I was really, like, my background was, I was like in the Bhangra team, and I was modeling in my other times as well. So I was really like not on the track of wanting to go to Gurukar, etc., etc. And the Sangha that I met were people that knew so much about Sikhi, even though it didn't look like it on the outside. So even though I would spend my time going out with them and all this kind of stuff, they would teach me in my spare time about Sikhi. We started going like to do events with Sikh youth. We started going to the Wagru course in Birmingham together to basics of Sikhi, and I learned so much, and they taught me so much as well on those journeys. So I just fell in love with Sikhi, and then after that I realized how important it was to have that Sangat. And afterwards I realized as well that no real sukh comes from anything apart from when you're close to your guru, when you're close to your Sikhi. When I was in those days and I would go out and we would, like, my friends would be drinking, etc., one thing that I never did was buy anything from, never buy anything from, ever drink inside of a club or a bar, because or even water, anything, I would never ever drink anything there, because I knew that there was a chance of it getting spiked, and I just thought there's like never, not even water. And one other thing that I had was really solid friends around me that would make sure that, you know, you each other get home, etc., etc. Obviously I'm just telling you guys that for anyone that does go out, because it happens, just to be smart. Make sure you have good people around you. And on the other note, however, please get involved with these organizations. My life really changed after getting involved. You can see, like, in one of the videos that Deepa and the team made in Misuse Trust, I didn't have a star then. I wasn't into Sikhi then at all. But getting into this Sangat, it gave me so much sukh, and it gave me so much love for Sikhi. It gave me so much peace that I could never ever get going to those places before. And literally Nottingham is such a special place, because it was after coming from Kent, it was the first time I was around Punjabi people. I was around people that could teach me about Sikhi. I was around Sangat. And after that, it basically, like, a few months later, literally I was blessed with Amrit. So I honestly, keep close to your Sikhi, keep close to your Sangat. And everyone can always say that with these incidents, it will never happen to me, it can't happen to me, and all this kind of stuff. That you think that you're smart, you think that you're not going to get into that situation, but it can literally happen to anyone. There's a Benji who is a lot older than you guys, and she's probably in her 30s/40s, and she has, we can see, like, I can see that she is being targeted because she's just going through a separation or a divorce, and it's so hard to get through to people to make them realize that these people aren't your friends. People are, like, put on this disguise like they're the only person that's going to be there for you, that they're your friends, etc., etc. But it's so hard to get through to someone afterwards, and it's so hard. So keep your friends close, keep yourselves really smart, and afterwards just get involved with these projects. There's no sukh like it. Like, trust me, after you get into Sangat, and it's going to be so important for you, especially at university. It can be a really lonely time too, if you don't have that right Sangat, and especially during lockdown, being away from your family, etc. Just really get involved. And one thing is that since I was at uni until now, and before that, the Sikh youth team, the Papaji and the team, have always been around. So if you ever need any advice, ever need any help and support, they're always going to be around, and Marge is going to keep doing the seva from them. So massive shout out to that. And if you need any support or any of our numbers, then just message your presidents, and like, they're going to be there for you, because we're all a family together. So yeah, and take on. I'm joking, but yeah, so yeah, do take on. But yeah, if we want to go back to the presidents, if there were any more questions for Deepa Paji, you guys can ask now.
Thanks, Benji. Definitely, if you need anyone's numbers or you need any help, then definitely drop us a message. We've got a couple more questions. We've got about 3 more questions actually. So if Deepa Baji wants to come on and answer them.
Okay, yeah. One of the questions, it says, what would you say is the biggest issue to why this happens? Now, that's down to us not putting enough awareness out there, or our pracharaks on the Gurdwara stages are not delivering this. Even if it's 2 minutes at the end, the stage secretary of the Gurdwara should talk about social issues, just to let the Sangata know. So those Sangat members that are sitting there them days, they can go back and speak to it about their families. These sorts of things are really important to reach out. So our awareness is not being massive. So we need to put more prachar out there. So I'm not pushing it just on the pracharaks, but we need to push more people to keep spreading this awareness. It's really important. This has to be repetitive because it's safeguarding our people. So it can't be a once a year lecture. Obviously, our annual workshop is with you, but the work goes on throughout the year. The social media messages, the magazines, the films, the music, everything, the documentaries, everything we do, the regular shows, the regular activism, it's so important. So that has to be repetitive. So it's really important. And the second question I've got here, are Sikh girls lacking self-esteem, or is it family issues? There can be various things, but a lot of the times it is because of perpetrators coaching them, and they're listening to those perpetrators, and they don't know that those perpetrators are actual perpetrators at the time, because they think that's their boyfriend or their partners, because these perpetrators are so good, that they've got them wrapped around their fingers, that they can do, or they would even turn on their own families for that. So we have to make sure that the people who are out there, who, as a Sikh, you shouldn't have a relationship before marriage anyway. But if people are, obviously we know this happens. So if people are having relationship, you need to be really aware of what is going on. Can you trust them? Do you know their full khandan? Do you understand who their family and friends are? Like, people need to know who these people are, and then you should take those steps. You shouldn't actually encourage it or put your full parosa in someone. Our only parosa should be in Maharaj, not anyone else. But everyone else we should be cautious, or keep to a limit or certain limits. Like, who your close people are. That's how it should be. I'll pass it back to the president, because I don't think there's any more questions. Or is there?
I don't think there are any more questions on the chat. No.
Can I just say a final message then, bro? Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, from my side, thank you first to you and the NTU president for giving us this platform. Massive respect. You need to do more. Whatever you need from us as an org or other activists, we're fully with you. Whatever events you're going to do, if they're online or not, we don't have any issues. We're happy to talk and support you. Whatever the university needs us for, we're happy to do this as well. If there's any issues that we can assist with, please get in contact with us. The presidents have our details. Keep your support base through the president, and then however they suit best, they will come to us. If you want to do seva and volunteer, you're more than welcome to. Seva, nobody can stop you doing. It is really important that you get yourselves active. If you can't fit into any roles you think that our team do, there's other organizations that we can assist you and push you in the right direction to. If you're keen on 1984, there's teams that sit and like collect museums. They're doing the museum for Never Forget 84. There's people who do 1984 tribute, doing writing the Jeevaniya about our martyrs from 1984. If you want a simple Sikhi life and learn from the basics, then go to Basics of Sikhi. If you want a bit more advanced Sikhi, then go to Seek to Inspire. These are orgs out there that are active doing work. If you want to do things about human rights and talk about academically what we need to make a change, then go to National Sikh Youth Federation, go to Naujwani. If you want to get into media, there's Sikh PA out there. There's so many options for you to volunteer, Sevadar. While you're at uni, don't hang around, make the most of it. That's what I'd say, make the most of it. But I want to thank you all for taking time out today. There's so much that needs to happen. This is just a start. You've got a long year of a pandemic with a lockdown and the government not telling you whether you're coming or going. So, you know, stay on top of it. Whatever you need from us, we're fully there to support. But we want to thank the university for giving us the platform and the Sikh Socs for making this happen. Thank you very much. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.